Hey ladies and gentlemen, Stephen here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope this video finds you well and I hope you're keeping safe. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a closer look at the newest fragrance by the company Azzaro. This is a men's release, of course, and it's a flanker to their Azzaro Chrome fragrance from 1996. This one is called Chrome Extreme, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin the review, I do want to mention that if you like this type of content, if you like fragrance reviews or top lists or anything fragrance related here on YouTube, please do consider subscribing to this channel by clicking on that red button in the corner. This way, whenever I do upload future fragrance related content, it'll get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. So here we have it. The year is 2020. The original came out back in 1996. There have been an interminable amount of flankers released for Chrome over the past couple of decades, and here we have one that seems to be promising, and it has an overly simplified note breakdown, if I can be honest with you. Not much information on this fragrance regarding who the perfumer is or what the branding concept was behind it, but as we see with a designation like Extreme, we have seen many fragrances release their own extreme version or variant in the past, and so we can kind of expect the direction that this one is going to go in. And as you can tell with the original Chrome, which was released in 1996, it has a sort of clean, soapy vibe about it. I've always considered it to be soapy and creamy, and it's just a very clean sort of a fragrance, one that you can spray on as soon as you get out of the shower. And I know they're still advertising it, you know, the company is still pushing bottles and they're still trying to sell it, and which is a very honorable thing, you know, you don't create a fragrance and give up on it after a few years. But here we do have an extreme version of it, and so I'm excited to tell you what I get from the smell and if I do in fact find it to be an extreme version of the original. But let's go ahead and start things off by taking a quick and close look at the presentation. Here is the box for this fragrance. As you can tell, it's quite the fingerprint magnet. This is Eau de Parfum strength, which is good, I guess, because it is an extreme flanker, so you want it to perform well. And this is the 100 ml size. The serial number is punched into the box in the top left-hand portion there, and you have this little write-up about the fragrance on the back. And here's the bottle. It has this almost opaque look to it, same exact shape as the original, same cap, same everything, except for the coloration and the extreme writing on the front. Your information is on the bottom, but it's a little bit illegible. The cap for this fragrance does click into place very securely. You can pick it up from the cap, and the distribution on the atomizer is nice and wide. Let's continue with the smell. So the classification for this fragrance is aromatic citrus, if I'm not mistaken. And you do have this aromatic thing going on in the opening. Now, as far as the note breakdown is concerned, this fragrance contains juniper berry. Juniper berry has this woodsy, aromatic, slightly spicy, almost astringent smell about it. Despite the fact that it has berry in the name, there is no sweetness in there. And yes, I do actually get a little bit of that in this fragrance. But I think another thing that is quite likable about the opening is that citrus that you get in there. Now, the citrus is being advertised as a green mandarin note, and I do get something quite orangey and zesty. However, to my nose, it doesn't smell overly natural or organic. It's certainly nothing like a 20 Iconic Masculine by Clive Christian or a Bigarade Concentré by Edition de Parfum Frederic Malle. These are really natural citrus fragrances, maybe ones that don't necessarily contain the note of orange, probably except for the latter fragrance that I mentioned. But in this one, you do have that sort of orangey appeal in the opening. It just doesn't smell overly natural or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. And of course, this is something to be expected from a commercial mainstream designer release, especially one that is going for an affordable price tag, just like this fragrance. But the opening is very likable, and I think it's one that's going to appeal to a lot of people. As the fragrance starts to dry down, there is this sort of creamy sweet thing that's going on in there. And it's a creamy sweet thing that is similar to what's going on in a lot of other men's fragrances. And it's kind of the trend or the wave that we're riding on at the moment, where a lot of contemporary masculine releases have this sort of vanillic tonka bean thing going on in the base, but it's being interpreted in different ways as far as the opening and the mid are concerned. We see coumarin is a really big player in a lot of these fragrances, and it's something that's been around for many, many years, so it's not like this novel discovery or novel usage or anything like that. But as far as it pertains to this fragrance, I like that they're not relying too heavily on that backdrop of coumarin or tonka bean or whatever you want to call it, but it also has a little bit of that creamy, soapy aspect that you do get from the original Chrome. Now, here's my stance when it comes to this. If you sprayed this and I smelled it right off the test strip and you said, what fragrance do you think this is a flanker of? I would actually have a hard time guessing that it's a flanker of Chrome, because I feel like a lot of that identity from the original has been stripped away from this in order for them to modernize it. Now, do I find this to be a more extreme version of the original? I do. I think that this one comes across a bit louder. And so I think in that sense, extreme would be a fitting designation. But, I don't think it's too extreme. I think for a fragrance, if this were sold as a standalone release, a brand new fragrance, different name, different bottle, different packaging, different presentation, I think that it didn't need an extreme designation, right? I think that the fragrance itself doesn't smell too extreme, if that makes sense. It smells very nice, it's pleasant, you have the citrus, you have the aromatic properties, you have that silky cashmere thing going on in the base in concert with the tonka bean, which is pretty cool. But I just think on its own, it doesn't smell like an extreme fragrance. Does it smell extreme compared to the original Chrome? Yes, it does. But on its own, does it smell like an extreme fragrance? No, it doesn't. So what would I recommend this fragrance for? I think it has a very casual vibe to it. I think it's perfect for the summer. I think if you like these fragrances that are going to get you compliments, this one would do well in that department. I don't think it would do as well as like a Dior Sauvage or a Bleu de Chanel or a Club de Nuit Intense for Men or a Creed Aventus or something like that. I don't think it's up in the ranks as far as a comparison to those fragrances is concerned, but I do think that this fragrance would do pretty well in terms of not offending people and just generally smelling good. This would make for a really good office fragrance. And if you're just looking for something that you don't need to think twice or thrice about, you can just spray it on, go about your day, have a good day. I think that this fragrance would fit that bill quite well. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I really don't find this to be a unique fragrance. Just smelling it off the top, it smelled like something I've smelled before, and not even something that I smelled before with an Azzaro fragrance or a Chrome fragrance or a fragrance within that line, a flank or what have you. It's just the combination of notes is something that I've smelled before at least 5 or 6 times in designer fragrances, but that doesn't mitigate or take away from the fact that this is a good smelling fragrance. And so the overall smell, thumbs up, maybe 1 thumb up, not 2 thumbs up. It does smell quite good, but again, you have to be your own judge, get your nose on it and sort of make that decision or that determination for yourself. In terms of the longevity, you're gonna get about 5 to 6 hours. Projection on this one was really good for the first hour to hour and a half, just because of the presence of that citrus in the opening. But keep in mind that it will become a skin scent right around that 4-hour mark, or at least that's how it behaves on my skin. And I don't think it ever radiates beyond an arm's length, even in that first hour to hour and a half. In terms of the versatility, very versatile. I think because of that coumarin backdrop, this is a fragrance that would do really well on a guy, or I think it is leaning a little bit masculine for that reason. I think it has more of a casual vibe as opposed to a formal vibe. I think that this one is probably best suited for somebody who's a little bit younger as opposed to a more mature, distinguished gentleman. But again, these are just recommendations. You are free to spend your money as you would like to. And in terms of the presentation, yeah, I guess it has, it fits the theme in terms of deviating, from the original. The original has a clear bottle as opposed to this one, which kind of has this dark blue appearance to it. So my final verdict on it is I don't love it. I think it's a decent fragrance. I think it's a pleasant fragrance if you're just looking for something fresh, something, I guess you could say it's invigorating, something that spotlights a citrus facet, but one that is not done in an overly organic way, something that still has a little bit of that creaminess, but if you're afraid of smelling dated, not my choice of words, but if you are afraid of smelling dated, when you wear the original, you're looking for a healthy and more contemporary change of pace, check this one out, and I really do hope that it is to your liking. Smell is subjective. We all interpret fragrances differently. And again, you know, I might not like a certain type of pizza. You might. I might not like certain, you know, cuisines of food. You might. I might not like certain genres of music. You might. And so again, take everything what I say, that I say with a grain of salt. But I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate your viewership. Again, if you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, please do consider subscribing to this channel to support it. All you have to do is click that red button in the corner, and this way, whenever I do upload future fragrance related content, it'll get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. And of course, that includes fragrance reviews just like this, but also top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, special guests, interviews, and a whole lot more. Thanks again for watching. I love you all. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.